My dad was an entrepreneur. In fact, he was the first one in the first individual in his community, in his town, to own a car in 1923, I think it was. And by the time I was born, he owned two businesses. One was a roofing nail business, and the other one was a cutlery business. By the time I was 11 years old, I was working summers in one of either the three factories. I remember my salary was 65 cents an hour, and I thought I was really well paid. And I had just a great childhood, a lot of freedom. And what I remember the most about my childhood was the freedom that we had to just do about anything. When I was 14, my best buddy and I, we decided we were going to hitchhike from Saint-Hyacinthe and go toward the maritime provinces. So we left for a month. So this would be like, leaving Salt Lake and going to California for a month when you're 14 years old hitchhiking. And when I came back, my mother, I remember I came back and it was late afternoon. My sister's oh, what would you like for dinner? Okay, and that was it. There was no big question to ask or anything. And I sent 2 postcards in a month. And, there were no telephone. There was, in those days, there was nothing. And it's that freedom to do anything you wanted was possible, I guess. I did engineering at Polytechnique in Montreal. And let me put it this way. I was not a great engineering student. I sort of was a great leader. I was the president of every one of my class, including the finishing class. I was president of all of the collegial activities that we had, including IEEE, all the parties. I knew how to do that really, really well. But to be fair, engineering was only a means to an end for me. And so I was not really concentrating on, all I wanted was to get out of there. Just get it done, okay, and get out of there. And what I really wanted to do was get an MBA after that and get in business. By the time I finished engineering, I was already married. And the lady that I was married to was far more brilliant than I was. She's a near genius. And of course, she was number one in everything she did, math, everything. And she wanted to do a nuclear engineering, nuclear master in nuclear engineering. And then she wanted to do her PhD in nuclear engineering. And of course, she was accepted at Stanford, at Caltech, at MIT, and I wasn't. So the other place where they had a reactor where she actually could work on nuclear engineering was the University of Utah. And I don't know what they did in the admission office. They must have screwed up or something because they also accepted me. And so that's how we ended up at the University of Utah. God bless the soul of whoever, scratched my yes, and we are going to accept them. The University of Utah we had such a great time. We really, really did. And none of us in student housing had any money. So the common denominator was have fun with no money. And so the block parties were fabulous. The community feeling was fabulous. And then the environment. And again, it was a time where you never locked your doors. The neighbors were always there for you to help you out. And we just had really a fabulous time. I'm sure it's true even today. Your university time is, I think, the best time of your life. You're at the freest you are. You have everything, and your job is to get through the year, get the best grade. That's your job. You don't have to think about anything else. And the second year, we were able to enjoy a little bit more, do a bit of skiing. The first year was rough because neither of us spoke any English. So we arrived here with literally very, very limited amount of English. when I did my engineering and then came to Utah to do my MBA, my goal was to get in the construction business and end up owning my own company by the time I was in my mid-30s. I mean, I've always loved construction. I wanted to be an architect. They told me I had no talent, so that's how I ended up in engineering. My wife got a job at Bechtel in their nuclear department. And she said, well, gee, they have an opening in their mining division, in their construction division. So I applied there, and I got a job. And then I got assigned, of course, to their mining and metals division, so I started to work on mining projects. And, having completed my MBA, and, I figured, well, I'm just going to start to play the stock market a little bit. And of course, I'm talking to the geologists, and the geologists, said, well, look at this company here. They've got a great drill holes over here. And as luck would happen, the very first stock that I bought, I made 10 times my money in a space of no time. Well, geez, I thought I was God's gift to investment. Okay, so that, I guess, was the turning point where it says, forget construction. This is where I want to be. This is a lot more fun. In 1980, after 7 years or so in the mining business per se, I left and I went to the investment business. And then that turned out to be a very good choice. And then 3 years later, in September of '83, with my partner, we launched Franco-Nevada. Well, of course, to me, the key degree that I've received in life is my MBA, okay? It's helped me more than, all my other degrees. Not that my engineering degree didn't help, not that my philosophy didn't help. I mean, I think they're fantastic degrees to have. But the one that made the difference for me was really my MBA degree and the 2 years that I spent here. And so it was, to my mind, the right thing to do. And being an entrepreneur, sort of right away, we came up with well, why don't we do a program where we help the kids start businesses, if you want. But they may not start the business, but at least they will work. They will get a hands-on experience on what it takes to, get an idea through the first stages of development. And you never know, maybe, down the road they will become businesses, but that was not the idea. The idea was really to give the students a hands-on experience on how to, start with an idea and work with it, do a business plan, and at the time, that's about as far as we had really thought this whole thing. It's all about the student experience, is to give the student hands-on experience on being an entrepreneur, okay? We can teach you a lot of things, but you know what? If you live it, if you work it, you get far more out of it. The concept of the living, at the time we called it a living creating center, came up. Is how do we house maybe 400 students and we build a 20,000 square foot garage in the same structure, and we make it live. So at the time it was a concept. And then, Troy and I and others, Dean Randall, we toured the country, looked at, all the loft buildings and all the entrepreneurship building, and then Google and this and that, and to come up with a building, if you want. We call now the studios, the Lassonde Studios, which will be a combination of lofts and singles and doubles and a beautiful garage, all equipped for entrepreneurship, and in an iconic structure. And it's going to be the first of its kind in the United States, in the world, truly. And it will truly distinguish the University of Utah in terms of entrepreneurship of any other schools in the nation. So when it's done, I think that people, I said to the architect, he asked, what kind of building do you want? I said, I want a building where the kids are going to look at it and says, I want to go there, okay, because that's the building I want to be in. That's what it needs, and that's what we wanted, and I think that's what we are getting.